All right, part two of quick bread. So, why use more than one leavening agent in a recipe? Some recipes ask for that, like banana bread. Well, the reason for that is common in a recipe that contains very small amounts of acid, but not enough to activate the baking soda on its own. So, it needs some help. It needs a little kick up. So, for example, bananas in banana bread. The baking powder does most of the leavening. The soda neutralizes the acids that would give a sour taste, I believe it says. Yep. Um, and together they increase the tenderness, the crumb of the final product. So, hence, we have wonderful banana bread. So, leavening agents. Recap. Breads are named quick breads because they rise quickly due to chemical leavening agent, baking powder, and baking soda. Quick breads are not, I repeat, not leavened by yeast. Okay, so leavening agents make products rise. This is a review. It adds volume and it adds height to your product. For example, yeast, baking powder, baking soda, the eggs, specifically egg whites, and steam. Okay, so steamed buns are popular in where I taught for a while in China. So steamed buns, meringues, baking powder biscuits, baking soda is used in batters, and then of course yeast-free yeast bread. So what does the other ingredients do? Okay, well, for instance, the flour and the liquid and the fat and the sugar and the salt and the egg, they all have some type of reasoning to be in the product. So, as well as the spices. So what do they do? What do they contribute to your quick breads? Well, for instance, the flour gives you the stability. It gives you the structure of your bread. Okay? It's the main ingredient. So flour, although the structure of quick breads is affected by the flour used in your recipe, a more tender bread is made when little gluten development occurs. Now, gluten is needed for that the bread will rise quickly. Most modern day recipes call for all-purpose flour. Self-rising flour may also be used in recipes, but because it has added baking powder and salt, these ingredients must be eliminated from the original recipe. Okay, so if you're like, can I use that? Yes, you just need to eliminate that from the original recipe. So some examples would be white or wheat flour, flour made from other grains like corn, rye, barley, soy, rice flour, almond flour, coconut flour, being used from other grains. Well, those are grains, but you also have nut flours, and you have those kind of things as well. So provides the structure. It is the main ingredient. Liquid, like milk here. Okay, it provides the moisture. It binds the ingredients together. It dissolves other ingredients and helps them bring them all together. Binds them up. Well, not binds them. I'm sorry. It brings them together. Okay. Liquid, the most common liquid ingredients in quick breads are usually milk and water. The liquid moistens the batter, helps activate the gluten in your flour, and it dissolves the sugar in your recipe. So, for example, some liquids would be milk, water, juice. Okay, those are some examples. The next one is fat. So, butter, canola oil, any type of oil, Crisco, coconut butter brings richness. It brings richness to your food. It brings tenderness, flakiness in your quick breads, and it brings some flavor to your product. So, fat shortening, butter, margarine, oil are all considered fats and can be used in quick breads depending on the desired texture. So, what kind of texture do you want? So, in addition to adding flavor and moisture, fat combines with sugar during creaming to add lightness by trapping air that expands during baking. This lightness makes the quick bread tender. forming a finer grain in the baked quick bread. Yum. So good. So some examples would be butter, margarine, shortening, oil. Okay, simple. Next one is sugar. Sugar, okay, gives you flavor, of course, but it also gives you a browning. So if you were adding it on top of your biscuits before you put it in the oven, it would brown up the top of your biscuits. Sugar adds sweetness and flavor, as mentioned before, and aids in browning, tenderizing, keeping the final quick bread moist. It acts as a preservative to increase the shelf life. And sugar acts as a tenderizer by absorbing water and inhibiting flour gluten development and by incorporating air into shortening during the creaming process. It caramelizes under heat, providing quick breads with a pleasing color and aroma. For example, granulated sugar, brown sugar, Splenda, xylitol, you name it, those are some type of sugars. Okay. Honey. Okay. Salt adds flavor, brings out flavor of other foods. It slows down yeast production when you're making yeast bread. It is also used in quick breads to enhance the flavor of the other ingredients. And there is not a specific ratio for home baking, and the recipe may need to be adjusted if salted butter is used, which is I did in my biscuit lab. Leaving the salt out completely will leave your bread tasting kind of bland. All right, eggs. Eggs. This is what binds the dough together, so ingredients will not separate. It provides moisture. It provides color. It provides nutrients. It acts as a leavening agent in some quick breads. Eggs provide structure and helps bind the ingredients together. As mentioned before, it also acts as the emulsifier. Okay, that's a big word, and we'll talk about that later this semester. By surrounding small particles of fat, the eggs help make the quick bread batter smoother, thus contributing to volume and texture. So that's the emulsifier. When eggs are beaten, they incorporate tiny air bubbles that expand with heat in the oven, contributing to volume. And eggs should be left at room temperature for roughly about 30 minutes, as more air can be incorporated during mixing. And they, like I said before, they add moisture, color, flavor, and a nutritional value. All right, we're going to end off with what do the ingredients do with spices, flavorings, and extracts like vanilla or, these spices and herbs like parsley is an herb and cinnamon is a spice. And they add flavor and interest to your breads. Okay, these ingredients are added in small amounts. If adding nuts, raisins, or chopped fruit, toss them in flour first. This helps them prevent them from sinking to the bottom of the pan. Good to know. Dried fruit can be soaked first for about 10 minutes to add extra sweetness to the baked bread. All right, that is done for part 2. Part 3 is going to be on types of batter.